doing well, thanks. It's a crazy time. We're feeling it in the choir. We're only going to have a couple of singers here tonight for a variety of Omicron-related reasons, fortunately none of which are life-threatening to anybody involved.
Yeah,
It's just, again, the times.
We're in different times than we've ever seen, so
Absolutely.
we're going to struggle with this thing for a while longer. Hopefully not another year, but
And we do our best to make sure that we're able to have, keep living, right? Keep having meaningful experience and do what we can when we can, and
yeah,
all of that.
yeah. I just don't, it's just something to watch. It's not noteworthy as such. I mean, the world is not changing and so forth, but it's just a terrible period of time. Fortunately or unfortunately, it just seems to be affecting the nations, the people that can afford to, instead of it going into the third world and contaminating and devastating, it's happening in the richer nations.
Right.
Ironic.
Ironic, yeah. Well, I'm glad that we're able to still gather here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great refuge. I don't understand why more people don't come on a Friday night.
I think that there might be a variety of reasons. Some of it might be, COVID, risk tolerance, right, related. It could be. Also part of it could be the weather, frankly. Now that we have a really good, viable online option, people are especially coming from further away on a night like tonight where it's snowy and conditions aren't great, especially if someone's not as comfortable driving at night. I get why those, people in that kind of situation might decide not to come.
Yeah, I just think that as a society, we tend to make things too easy. And the net effect is this. And so I'm not saying that this is bad. I don't.
We'll have to see what the long-term effects are and how we deal with them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's what bothers me.
I get that. And it's really too early to tell how much of an impact our having the online option is having. So we've only been, we haven't been in person with the online option for that long, less than a year. So we'll see. All right, I'm going to check on a couple of things because we have about 7-ish minutes until things get started. Nice chat.
How are you? We'll see.
We'll see, exactly.
It's funny that the statue is in Savannah, the Martin Luther King statue. That looks like the one that they commissioned in Savannah when I was there.
Who's that? Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Not fully online yet, but we'll start in just a moment.
Oh, it looks like we are. Looks like we are. Sometimes it's hard to tell. And I guess that's what a confidence monitor is supposed to help us with, to have the confidence to know what we can do. Well, welcome to everybody who has joined us here tonight. It's a cold, messy night on the roads, but we are so glad that you are here, both in our sanctuary and here online. And we're so happy that you have joined us on this cold evening. But it's good to be here with everyone. Tonight we have our prayer books that we'll be using, and we have a supplement that we have as well that people should have at the ready, because there are prayers and songs here in the supplement, in addition to very important information regarding Dr. Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and some of the activities that we at Temple Beth El are involved in, as we are inspired by his memory. Online, you have a link to the prayer book. You have a link to our program, and you have a number of other links, I hope, which are talking about some of the social involved in. We'll be talking about them later on tonight's worship service. So just sit together and enjoy and relax as Shabbat comes into our hearts and into our community.
And we'll gather together with a nigun that will hopefully allow us to also release those things that have been with us this week, so that we can really fully embrace Shabbat. Ya la la ya la 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 la. Ya la la ya la 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 la.
Shabbat Shalom. Firm and resounding nonviolent protest, organizing to bring together coalitions of diverse and supportive people, unstinting dedication to truth, however we encounter it, courage in the face of arrests, jail time, injuries, and death threats, absolute faith in the power of divine guidance and salvation. These are some of the many characteristics that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. bequeathed to those who follow him. He demonstrates to us resilience in the face of adversity, faith when confronting setbacks, joy when engaging in the work of human freedom, and persistence in advancing toward his goal. Now, which ones of those characteristics do we possess? Can we develop more of them in our lives so that we then begin to act like the righteous person that Martin Luther King was? On this weekend of solemn ceremony and heartwarming remembrances of King, we recall his achievements and his dreams that still motivate us to struggle to forge a time of true equality. We revel in his legacy of passion, that stirs our souls. King once said that the challenge of the movement is to keep the movement moving. And I guess in our day, that is our task. This worship service tonight is dedicated to his memory, his worthy goals, his enthusiasm, and his deep abiding faith in the salvation of a God who expects our personal best as we move forward and would still never abandon. The Psalms say, and the book of Exodus says, Ozi v'zimrat ya vayehi li lishua. Of the many ways that we can translate that phrase from Exodus and the Psalms, I would offer this: my strength and the discipline of the eternal God, these have become my salvation. On page 647 in the prayer book, at the bottom of the page, I think.
Ozi vezimrat ya vayehi lishua. Ozi vezimrat ya vayehi lishua. Ozi vezimrat ya
I'd like to invite the congregation to turn to page 4 of the supplements. And we offer these paragraphs responsively as a congregation and as a reader to welcome Shabbat on this beautiful Shabbat evening. Knowledge we encounter through our very human senses, while understanding reaches us through the experiences of our lives. Wisdom arrives after thought and sage consideration.
We are born with hope into the human family. We see humanity through the best practices and the blunders of those around us. But humanity enters us through our openness and empathy.
Light comes to us in urgent enveloping waves of photons, yet insight arrives slowly like the dew of night. Illumination may then come steadily like the dawn of a new day.
From knowledge to wisdom, from our hope in humanity to the love of the human heart, from the darkness of night to the reality of a human awareness, may we come to revel in the realizations of the human soul, and may these Shabbat candles illuminate the pathway toward our appreciation of the self and the elevation of humanity.
We thank God for the gifts of light and awareness and humanity. We continue on page 120 with the bracha for the lighting of Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadiber shel
Martin Luther King once said, "So long as I do not firmly and irrevocably possess the right to vote, I do not possess myself. I cannot make up my mind. It is made up for me. I cannot live as a democratic citizen observing the laws I have helped to enact. I can only submit to the edict of others." We tonight welcome Shabbat not only as an acknowledgement of the inevitable arrival of this day, but also as an act of freedom. We choose to rest, to recreate, to become and to possess the people we are destined to be. We celebrate this freedom to rest and renew as we gather in our sacred community and make our day of rest a reality. Kabbalat Shabbat begins on page 5 of the supplement with Or Zaruah.
Spread our love around. We must feel this spiritual sound. We must work till peace has come. We must love and live as one and be alive.
We welcome Shabbat also with Lecha Dodi, a song of welcoming Shabbat into our very hearts and community. Page 138. Tonight we're offering verses 1, 5, 8, and 9.
זכור בדיבור אחד השביענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולנתינה לך אדוני מקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך אדוני נקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני נקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה.
Verse 8.
ימין ושמאל תפרוצי ואת אדוני העריצי על יד איש וחפרתי ונשמחה ונגידה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה.
Verse 9.
בואי ושלום הדרך בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה בני שבת נקבלה.
On page 140, we continue with Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. Let us sing a song to this very day and all the treasures it contains and all the challenges it presents to us.
And we'll be offering the first paragraph, the first few lines, and then coming back at where the lines indent toward the bottom. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat Tov Leodot Adonai Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat Tov Leodot Adonai Uzamer Shimcha Elyon Uzamer Shimcha Elyon Vehagi Baboker Chasdecha אמונתך בלילות, צדיק התמן יפרח, כארץ בלבנון יישא, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. אור ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולת אפו.
As we begin the Ma'ariv service, I offer these words of invocation. Dear God, you have shown us the essential tasks of humanity. And you said this to your prophet Micah, that we must perform acts of justice, that we must love a merciful approach to life, and that we must walk humbly with our God. Disturb us, therefore, from our complacency, and enable us to see, hear, and know the experience of the orphan, the widow, the stranger who dwells among us, that we may reach out to those who live in poverty, the unhoused, the newly immigrated, the person who thinks and speaks differently from us, anyone who could otherwise remain unseen, unheard, unknown, or rejected. On this Shabbat Tzedek, this Shabbat of righteousness, energize us in our struggle for redemption and in our pursuit of justice and peace. Ma'ariv begins with Baruch Hu, page 146. We invite the congregation to rise.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed.
On page 149 at the middle, please join one another. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai,
Ma'ariv Aravim.
On page 150 at the top.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al yen Adonai Eloheinu b'shofteinu, u'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Mihem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, u'mahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Be'ahavatcha al tasir, hinenu le'olam Yisrael.
On page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue at the top of 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
A lesson learned from our being freed from Egyptian bondage is to pass on the blessings of liberty to others who require it. For as Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice somewhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so we as Jews get active in every generation, and no matter the cost, to bring salvation to the needy. We continue at the top of page 157, and then listen for a cue. We'll bring you to 158.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught. Before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it's eternally Egypt. But there's a better place, a promised land, and the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, singing yai na na na, yai na yai na, yai na na na, yai na, yai na na, yai na na na, yai na, yai na, yai na na na, yai na. Moshe uMiriam uBnei Yisrael l'chanu Shirah b'simcha raba ve'amru chudam
Page 158.
micha mocha ha'elim ובניך וכהים לפני משה ומרים זרי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד די לה 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 לה
Hashkivenu, this prayer that we offer only at nighttime, that we find on pages 160 and 161, it's representative of a time when our people needed encouragement, that the night would not bring on such dangers, and yet we all fear sometimes the night and whatever darkness can bring in. So the rabbis crafted this prayer to help us, that with love and with understanding, we can actually make it through the darkness toward the light.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter of life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu leShalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu leShalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu lechaim Ufros aleinu Sukat shlomecha Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu leShalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu leShalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
As I began the tefillah this week, just in my own mind and in my own life, I think about the lessons of Dr. King and what we need to integrate into our lives as watchwords to live by, to work by. And I reflect on the teachings of our tradition that white, black, First Nations, Asians, Jews, Muslims, majorities and minorities alike, we strive to treat each person equally and with dignity and respect, as we believe that each person is made in the divine image, and we treat them that way as if they are indeed part of the divine body, divine corpus. Accordingly, in our country, for example, then, there is no compromise when it comes to civil rights. Full stop, we give each person the kavod, that is the honor and the dignity, and the same respect that we expect for ourselves. That is what I will be thinking about as I offer tefillah tonight. The tefillah begins on page 164. We invite the community to rise.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Adonai sivatai tita. Tehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. La 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Page 166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Ha'Kol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'Imahot, Umevi geula livnei v'neihem leman shemo be'ahava melech ozer u'moshia u'magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
168.
Atah gibor le'olam Adonai Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach, Umorid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umikayem emunato lishenei afar micha mocha bal gevurot umidom elach melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai מחיי הכל.
Amen. Page 170.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. For a moment, I would like to invite everyone within the sound of these voices to reflect upon the week that has ended for you. Where did you let light into someone else's life? Where did you enable someone to see something that they had never realized before? When did illumination come to others because of acts that you did, because of ways that you intervened in their lives? Dr. King said, returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Therefore, consider the light, the knowledge, the illumination that you bring to others, and let that be perpetuated in your life and in theirs in the months and years to come. We offer now personal and private reflection, and at the end, we'll be, I think, on page 6 of the supplement.
Night cannot drive out the night. Only light, only light. Night cannot drive out the night. Only light, only light. Oh, 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 drive out the hate. Hate cannot end all its hate. Only love, only love. Hate cannot end all its hate. Only love, only love. Oh, 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 War cannot end all these ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן
Shabbat can be found on page 123. Please join Cantor naming.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh Zeicher litziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta Ve'otanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim Ve'shabbat kodshecha Be'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim.
Shabbat Shalom. This is a very special weekend, and many people in this sanctuary, in addition to the cantor and I, have been involved in years past in events celebrating the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in our community here. Tonight we have a special presentation that will be presented on video because of people's schedules and because things happen. Our original speaker could not make it tonight because of a family problem, and so Dr. Reuben Anthony, the executive director, or is he president? I'm not sure of his exact title, president, of the Urban League of Greater Madison, is with us on video tonight, and he is helping us understand something, but I want to introduce someone who will give him a much more appropriate introduction. I'd like to bring up to the bema Betsy Abramson, who is one of the co-chairs of our Racial Justice Action Team, of our Social Action Committee, and she is deeply involved in helping us understand our role as allies with the Black community here in Madison. So Betsy, please come forward and help introduce Dr. Anthony.
Dr. Reuben Anthony has been the president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Madison since March of 2015. And in that time that he's been with the Urban League, they have increased their job placements by 39% and have made over 1,400 placements in the community. Over the past 30 years, Dr. Anthony has been a senior manager in the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors. He's a subject matter expert in developing job placement strategies and in minority business development. The majority of Dr. Anthony's career, nearly 2 decades, was as a manager with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, where he started as a first-line supervisor and eventually became the deputy secretary and was the chief operations officer from 2003 to 2010. As the deputy secretary, he managed 3,600 full-time employees and an annual budget of $3.25 billion. He was also responsible for managing the day-to-day operations of the agency and overseeing the programming of all areas. In 2017, he was awarded the Golden Champion Award by the National Association of Minority Contractors, the Wisconsin chapter, for leadership in minority business development in the Wisconsin construction industry. This evening, Dr. Anthony will be presenting about an exciting new project here in Madison area, the Black Business Hub and the Black Business Accelerator, cornerstones of the exciting renaissance that's happening in South Madison. South Madison has long been home to our Madison area's communities of color, African American, Latino, Hmong, and is a cherished place of community and support. Sadly, however, as a city, we've long underinvested in this area. That story is now changing, thanks to the leadership of people like Dr. Reuben Anthony, Kaleem Kerr of One City Schools, Dr. Alex G. of Nehemiah Fountain of Life Church and the new cultural center that's being developed, Dr. Jack Daniels of Madison College South, and many others. Tonight, Dr. Anthony will provide context to this effort, the bold and exciting plan, and he will describe opportunities for us to become partners and allies. We are incredibly pleased, grateful, and honored to welcome Dr. Reuben Anthony, albeit virtually, to the Temple Beth El Bima this Martin Luther King Jr. Shabbat of 2022.
Well, hello, I'm Reuben Anthony, the president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Madison. I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to share with you today the Black Business Hub, but also to spend some time, talking to you about the accelerator, because we believe that building the building is one thing, but you got to have the necessary resources to help those businesses once you build a building. The Black Business Hub is a facility that we're looking to build in South Madison. South Madison is one of the oldest ethnic areas in Madison. And so we believe that if the Urban League is not going to step up for Black businesses, who will? So I want to talk to you some about the Black Business Hub and some of the work that we have going on related to the Black Business Hub. We believe that there should be a renaissance going on in South Madison, and Black businesses and Black people and the Urban League and others should be a part of that. We've seen development go on in this city, particularly on East Capitol, on East Washington Avenue, where that development happened, but it wasn't inclusive. The Black Business Hub and the Renaissance, we're expecting that it will be inclusive. One of the reasons that it's important that we have inclusion is because Madison has a track record of disparities that we really need to address. If you look just in general at unemployment, African Americans are 5 times higher or more likely to be unemployed than whites. If you look at Black children, they're 13 times more likely to be in poverty than white children. If you look at home ownership across the nation, African Americans have 46% home ownership across the nation, but in the state of Wisconsin, it's only 23%. That's the 3rd worst in the nation. If you look at Dane County in particular, only 10% of homeowners in Dane County are African American. So we really need to do something about that, because when you think about, home ownership and you think about wealth development, wealth building a lot of times comes from the equity that you have in a home. You buy a home, it appreciates, and then you have that equity to send your kids to college to start a business. Well, largely in Dane County, African Americans are being excluded from that. The disparities continue. If you look at businesses in Dane County, particularly businesses with 1 employee or more, only 0.4% of African American businesses or 40 businesses have more than 1 employee in Dane County. That's something that we have to fix. If we really want to point to one statistic that really supports why we should have a Black Business Hub, this statistic does it. Because we need to make sure that we're giving Black-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, and women-owned businesses an opportunity to grow and develop. White business owners are 7 times more likely to exist than Black business owners. If you look at relationships and contracting with the city of Madison, only 2% of the work done in public works contracting has gone to a minority-owned firm. If you think about it, African American and other minority-owned firms, they don't have the business relationships with banks. If you just think back maybe a year and a half ago, for the PPP grants that came out or loans, only 5% of African American businesses were able to take advantage of that in that first wave. So that really depicts how the relationship is with banks and organizations. We've got to change that. So in the Black Business Hub, we have a vision. We have a vision not just to build a building. We have a vision to build an ecosystem that will allow us to develop businesses from startup businesses, businesses that already exist, and businesses that want to scale up, to come into a community network inside of the hub where they will have opportunity to have resources. When I did this presentation for Zach Brandon from the Greater Madison Chamber, he said, Ruben, this business hub is not just going to be critical for Blacks. It's not just going to be critical for the south side of town. He said, this is the missing piece in the region. You know, we need this in the region because businesses that get developed here in the hub, they will locate on the north side of the city, the west side of the city, and other places. They just won't stay here. But also, this is a project that will keep on giving for multiple generations. Once we create the businesses in this space, community will benefit from this project for many years to come. So I talked to you earlier about the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So, and I want to focus in on the Black Business Hub Accelerator Program. And I want to thank Jan O'Neill and the Together We Build Fund for her and her family bringing resources of $50,000 that was left to her as an inheritance to start us on this fund. And so far, I think we might almost have $300,000 in that fund. But the Accelerator Fund has about $1.2, $1.3 million in it. These are funds that are necessary to help these businesses grow. You know, Black businesses, you know, need to have, again, access to planning grants to put those business grants plans together. They need to have access to expansion grants when they want to grow, and they need loans that are flexible enough that, you know, it could be part of it can be forgivable. That's what we'll have with the Accelerator Fund. Businesses also need technical assistance. They need to be able to get training. Sometimes small businesses can't afford training. They need to have mentors, and they need to have coaches. The Accelerator Program will allow all this to happen. The other thing that small businesses can't quite do, sometimes they are not able to take advantage of economies of scale. But if the businesses are together in the hub, we have the ability to jointly purchase HR policies or HR insurance, technology assistance we would be able to provide, marketing assistance, and all those other types of services, shared services that they can't get on their own. And more importantly, one of the things that will probably be most valuable for these businesses is to have a community of peers, someone that they can share best practices with, and just to be able to network with, you know, as business owners. So the Black Business Hub, again, this is a depiction of it, you know, here. It's going to be 80,000 square feet. 35,000 square feet of the building will be leased to commercial anchors. And with those commercial anchors, that 35,000 square feet will give us a positive cash flow. But it'll also give us the ability to have lower rents for those hub tenants. So we looked at projects across the nation. And the difference in these types of business hubs, in contrast to the Black Business Hub, is that some of these other small hubs have tried to go it alone just with the small businesses and Black businesses, and sometimes it's too much. Well, one successful project that is the inspiration for this project is the Sherman Phoenix in Milwaukee. And there's a BMO Harris Bank that was burned down, and several individuals in Milwaukee came together and say, let's put, you know, some minority-owned businesses in here. Today, there are about 27 businesses in there that are thriving as well. So I was talking to one of the developers of that project, and Sharon Adams, and she said that the way that we did it, she wished they would have done it the same way in Milwaukee with the Sherman Phoenix, having these commercial anchor tenants there. 45,000 square feet of the building will be for hub tenants, and it'll consist of storefront spaces, office spaces of various sizes, cubicle spaces, co-working spaces for startup businesses. In the atrium, there'll be kind of almost brick and mortar spaces, permanent spaces, pop-up and retail, and activity and possibilities for events in the atrium. You'll see the atrium is a pretty big atrium. We'll have a rentable commercial kitchen for the food trucks that may want to associate and do work but don't have a kitchen to go to. Many of the entrepreneurs who are baking at home or doing business projects at home now can have an affordable space to do their work. We'll have many small business development agencies to work there to provide supportive services. Yesterday we did a webinar with Generator and the Wisconsin Technology Council. Generator, we just signed a contract with so that they can get ahead of the game and start training up businesses now in a 7-week program to help them get their business ideas developed and then possibly locate in the hub or other places. This is a new partnership that we have, and we think that it's going to pay off, tremendously. Just presented to the Wisconsin Technology Council this morning, and they're interested in partnering with us as well. At the Urban League, we believe that, our strength comes with our collaborations. So we'll have the Madison Black Chamber of Commerce in our facility. We'll have WIBIC in the facility, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, which is the biggest economic development corporation in the state. We'll have Climb USA, which is a venture capital firm owned by Bob Wynn. With all the resources that we have here, there'll be no other resource in the state that have as many economic support functions for small business as we will have in the hub. We'll partner with the SBA, the SBDC, Upstart, and we'll have a bank in the facility and leverage our relationships that we have with the Urban League. So we are looking forward to building partnerships. I often say, when Jack Daniels moved Madison College from downtown, he was running towards the fire because he saw that there was a lot of demand and a lot of potential and a lot of need in South Madison. And that's kind of spurred confidence, that somebody was betting on South Madison, because South Madison has been one of the most under-resourced areas in the city for many years. But now, our project is causing an urban renaissance where you'll see other projects happening in South Madison, such as the Center for Black Excellence. You'll see Brandon Rule's project happening where it's affordable housing and a new grocery store, on South Park Street. You'll see other projects occurring on South Park Street, but these are inclusive projects. So we're really happy to be a part of what's going on in South Madison. So here's a rendition of what the hub should look like. You can kind of see we're on the corner of Park and Hughes Place. South Park and Hughes Place, right on the corner where McDonald's is there. But you can see the way that this facility is built, there's a lot of opportunity to create economic opportunities on the outside. They have trucks on the outside, farmers markets, and all those other things on the outside. I want to talk to you about the technique that the architects used. We use JLA architects, and they used a technique called the Black aesthetic as their design. And with the Black aesthetic, you can kind of see that they emphasize drama, asymmetry, angularity. And the concept that in this model that jumps out most to me is openness and indoor-outdoor relationships. And I think about this when I think about growing up in New York and sitting around with family on the stoops and sitting on the stoops until the wee hours in the morning just talking and having fun. Also, I think about going south in Mississippi and having conversations with my grandmother, and we would have conversations on the front porch. And I also think about last Labor Day when I went to Milwaukee, I noticed that lots of people are having their barbecues and their social activities on the front of the house. And I think this is an aspect of how African Americans socialize in space that these architects capture, and they're going to use it in our design. So here, this is a depiction of what the first floor should look like. You can see along the windows here, there are pop-up, types of opportunities. There'll be about 7 or 8 of those. But you can also see that there's storefronts that line the other wall. We'll have an anchor tenant to be here to generate traffic, because it's going to be important to generate traffic to support the businesses. We hope to have a grocery store or a bodega type store here like you might find in places like New York. In the corner, we expect to have an Afro-Caribbean restaurant. And then we also expect to have in our basement, again, the commercial kitchen. On the second floor, we expect to have many of those supportive services. And also we'll have co-working space and then we'll have other minority-owned businesses up there taking advantage of that space. On the third floor, we expect to have Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, other businesses. On that fourth floor, we have more co-working space, and we'll have other businesses up there as well. This is a more lighted picture where you can clearly see how we take advantage of the outside, where you can have the market space outside, you have seating outside for the restaurant. But what is really clear about this is that visual continuity, where you can kind of see the first floor, the second floor, inside, outside, that really kind of makes it kind of uniform in terms of what you see and the excitement that it should bring. Again, you can see they filled in like some of the space with vendors, and this space will be critical. We have a wide and large atrium that could have a lot of activities there. I can only imagine what this would have looked like for this past holiday season if it was built now. So let me talk about some of the community impacts felt throughout, not just in Madison, but throughout the region. So we expect 45,000 square feet of space for entrepreneurs of color and to provide them below market rents. So this is really interesting for me and something that I really want to make sure that we're able to do, because we lose a lot of talent from Madison to places like Atlanta and other southern places where African-American students believe that they need to leave to be able to explore and develop their skills. We want those folks that are in science and technology to leave right from the university to come to the hub and to be able to take their skills to the market. And we're going to build those type of relationships so that we can make that happen. As I mentioned, we'll have retail storefronts, small offices, co-working space, and just a whole lots of different types of business spaces. We'll serve at least 200 entrepreneurs annually through various trainings and technical assistance programs. Again, you know, with our co-working space, we expect to fill it with at least over 200 aspiring entrepreneurs. So this project will be a catalyst for the Village on Park. There'll be affordable housing to come in another phase. There'll be a garage to come in another phase, but the Village on Park will be transformed, and this project is leading the way. Again, we expect to attract, Black talent and minority and women-owned talent from throughout the region. We expect that this will be a destination that we can be proud to say when people come to town about if they want to see an ethnic enclave like they do in New York and LA and places with Chinatown and places like that. We want to do that for this area as well, that people can be proud and view it as a destination that's worth showing. Again, we want to change the lives around those folks here in this community. We don't want it to be gentrified and folks to be forced out. We want them to have opportunities to start businesses and to work, at the hub. We expect that, again, this hub will be a multi-generational economic impact for this region. So here's more community impacts throughout Madison. By 2025, we definitely want to launch or expand over 100 businesses. Again, we expect that we'll have raised over $3 million in loans for the Accelerator program by 2025. We expect to bring 100 good-paying jobs to South Madison and create 50 new full-time jobs in the hub. The Urban League already is a pipeline for job development, and so we think that it makes sense that we train people and put them to work and get them to start businesses at the hub. So we started having this conversation in 2016. We launched the Agenda South, where we started talking about what's happening in South Madison. We saw that the developers were outpacing planners, and I call it the tortoise and the hare, where the hare was the developers moving fast, grabbing land, and the tortoise was the city planning, but really getting out finessed because the developers were buying up all the land and filling it up. Well, we started that conversation, and that's what led us to this. And so in the spring and fall, we've gotten through all of the city's design and approval processes. During the summer of 2021, we began our fundraising, and we have made significant progress there. We want the groundbreak in 2022, but we're doing the ground warming right now in January. We started ground warming just a couple of days ago. The opening of the project should be sometime in late 2022, early 2023. It's a 12 to 14 month project, so we're excited about that. So the project, for the hub and the accelerator is $25.5 million. And for the building is $23.5 million, and for the accelerator it's about $2 million. For this project to work, we're going to have to take out a loan for $8 million. But right now, we're in a great position if we raise another $320,000. That would allow us to proceed, towards closing on our new market tax credit deal. The more money that we raise, the more of that $8 million that we can reduce, right? So anything in excess of the $320,000 will allow us to reduce that loan, make an investment in the accelerator program, and provide support for the programs in the hub. So that's all we have for you, and definitely my contact information is here. I'd love to talk to you more about this project. I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk.
Well, unlike most times when we have speakers, we have time for Q&A, and obviously I'm not Dr. Anthony, and I can't do that for you today. But I do want everyone here in the sanctuary and listening at home to know that if you have questions about them, if you contact me directly, I will connect you with Dr. Anthony, who's very interested in talking with us. We had a group of folks from Temple who went down and heard this presentation live, which is why we got excited about bringing it to Temple. And I want to point out also that I worked with one of their folks to develop a self-guided tour of South Madison, and that's going to be on our website. And it's kind of exciting, not kind of, it is exciting to drive down South Park Street and through the neighborhoods of South Madison and see what's there now, what's being developed, and to see the sites where the Black Center of Excellence will be, where the Black Business Hub will be, and all that's been developed and all the potential we have in Madison to reduce the racial disparities through this kind of economic investment. So folks who have questions or want to meet some of the folks who are designing and building and creating and dreaming, like Dr. Anthony, I invite you to contact me, and I will put you directly in contact with him. So thanks so much. And on behalf of all of Temple Bethel, I know we want to thank Dr. Anthony for his preparation of this presentation tonight. Thank you.
And Betsy, we would like to thank you as well for your getting Dr. Anthony to this place where he can come and talk with us, for your enthusiasm for the projects that we do here in our temple, and for allowing us to be partners in this very important project. We'd like to invite the community to turn to page 371 in the prayer book, page 371. Our service continues with our Misha Beirach. It is our prayer for healing and wholeness. As we think about the almost 100 people who are on our healing list tonight who need our thoughts, we think about all those whose lives are hurting, who are physically, emotionally, and psychologically needy, and therefore need our community to offer worship for them, to offer prayers for them. There may be others in our community tonight who would like to mention the names of special people, special individuals who need prayers of healing and wholeness. And if you think of someone in your friendship or family circle, we invite you to offer their name for us tonight. Dear God, aloud and in our hearts, we name those facing illness and pain, and we join our prayers to the prayers of all who love them. We continue with Misha Beirach on page 371 at the middle.
Misha Beirach of strength, who bless the
we invite the congregation to turn to page 7 of the supplement, and also turn to page 586 of the prayer book, and sort of have both on your lap at the same time.
Cantor Ellen Dreskin and singer-songwriter Dan Nichols took a look at our prayer, Aleinu l'shabeach, it is upon us to praise. And they expanded it. They thought that if Baruch Hu, toward the beginning of our service, is a call to prayer, then Aleinu, toward the end, is a call to action. A chance for us to think about what we've taken into our hearts and how that is going to then extend out into the world beyond this sanctuary or beyond whatever structure people may be in who are joining us online. And so we'll offer this, myself and my brave choir singers. And when we get, if you feel comfortable joining in at any moment, you're welcome to. When we get to the phrase, there's a broken world to raise, I'd actually like to invite everyone, and I'll try to be very unsubtle about that, to invite everyone to rise so that we can rise in preparation for Aleinu on page 586. It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise.
Page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה יוצר בראשית, שהחולות השמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated. We continue on page 589. We read together at the top of 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We continue on page 595. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory cannot tell us can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. On this sacred Shabbat evening, we recall these loved ones, those who died within the last 30 days, and those whose Yartzeiten occur at this time. If you are present tonight in the sanctuary or perhaps watching remotely, and you are here today in mourning or in remembering of someone, we invite you to rise as the name of your loved one is recited, and then you'll be joined by the whole community as together we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. These are those whom we've taken into our hearts with our own. The recent deaths connected to members of our community, we observe Shloshim for Karen Sessler-Stein, sister of Greg Sessler, and Michael Schwartz, brother of Bob Schwartz. And these are those whose Yartzeiten we are recalling tonight. We are recalling with love Rebecca Barvin, Helen Bolleton, Lois Carl, Leon Dolnick, Sherman Dutch, Karen Ann Edelstein, Diane Fernandez, Debbie Friedman, David G. Hansen, Ruth Harnett, Shelley Kleinbaum, Regina Persian Krasno, Myra Loffer, Jesse Malofsky, John H. Morrison, Lorraine Newman, Ruth Rubin, Susan Shapiro, Fanny Brumfer Siegel, Norma Sondler, Joy Spar, Albert M. Suckle, Henry C. Sweet, Leo Wendell, Eugene J. Wilk, Dorothy Zimmerman, and Emmanuel Zola. Members of our worship community tonight may also be remembering loved ones, and if you have someone else whose name you would add to our list of memory, we invite you to do so. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be blessings in our hearts and minds, in the hearts and minds of all those who knew and loved them. Testifying to the faith that binds the generations of humanity together, we now invite you to turn to page 598 and again as a community to rise as one as we offer the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh.
v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
May those we remember continue to live in our hearts and inspire us to good actions that will help the world. And we say, Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. A few brief announcements tonight. Well, I take back the word brief. So a few
Medium length.
Medium length announcements tonight. This is such an important weekend, and there are so many important things happening in our community and in our nation. And my nasal passages are being stifled by my mask here, so forgive me a little bit. First of all, thank you again to Dr. Ruben Anthony, to Betsy Abramson, to our Racial Justice Action Team, to our choir, to my Bima partner, Cantor Amy, for you all being here, for Betsy also was our greeter here tonight. We thank you all so very much for your participation in our service tonight. As Reformed Jews, we are called to fight for racial justice as part of the sacred work of creating a more just, compassionate, and whole world. One cornerstone of the National Reform Anti-Racism Campaign emphasizes the historical connection between racial justice, civil rights, and the right to vote, particularly the suppression of the votes and the voices of community of color. At Temple Beth El, our Social Action Committee is an active participant in this national campaign. We have action, and statewide as well. We have action teams that focus on racial justice and civic engagement, working together to make sure that the fundamental right to free and fair elections is protected, and the right to vote is equally available to all. If you are looking for actions that you can take as this new year begins, these teams have a few considerations for you. First, we must ask President Biden and our U.S. Senators Ron Johnson and Tammy Baldwin to finally move forward on national voting rights legislation. The time has come to reform the filibuster and pass the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. This week's Social Justice Spotlight that came out just the other day has a link to a website that makes it easy to have your voice heard. And it is also on the video description that's on our online program tonight, and it's also in your programs tonight as well. If you'd like to know more about the Reform Movement's Racial Justice Campaign, there is a link too in the chat or in the video description where you can read about the important work that's going on in addition to voting rights. You also have that in the programs that you have at your seats. Finally, we hope that more of Temple Beth El members, and we have a lot of people involved, will get connected to one of our action teams on racial justice or civic engagement. These teams are focused on action, not just meeting. Working together with others from Temple Beth El, you can help make a difference in terms of volunteering at the Allied Wellness Center, sponsoring interns for the Boys and Girls Club, registering voters, advocating for voting rights at the state and national levels. If you're interested, please contact Aleeza Hoffert, and she will point you in the right direction. Her email address, too, is in your programs tonight, and it's in the video description online. I also want to thank tonight the Sisterhood who provided our Oneg Shabbat on the Go. We continue to partner with Just Bakery, thank you, Just Bakery. And they provide these beautiful cookies, but more importantly, they provide people in our community a chance to rehabilitate their lives. So please take a cookie before you leave on the way out. The next B'nai Mitzvah happening in our community will happen on Saturday, January 29th at 10:30 in the morning, when Etta Rice, the daughter of Katie and Josh Rice, will be called to the Bima as a Bat Mitzvah. There are some important COVID announcements tonight. First of all, we want to thank everybody for wearing their masks properly and for being vaccinated. For those who are watching online, when you come to our building, you should know that proof of vaccination is now required for entry to attend in-person services. And this little announcement regarding contact tracing. If you test positive, those who are here tonight, if you test positive for COVID-19, within 5 days after being in person at Temple Beth El, please contact Stephanie Kushner, our executive director. If we receive notification also of anyone who is present testing positive within that same 5-day period, we will notify all those present. And for that reason, we ask you all to sign our contact tracing sheet before you leave tonight, if you haven't done so already. Pardon me?
I have them all.
Oh, and Betsy's got them. Excellent. Thank you.
Great.
Also, some racial justice action team announcements. Allied Wellness Center Essentials Pantry donations in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. are being accepted now through January 31st. For more information or on how to donate, please go to the TBE website. Beginning this coming Wednesday, January 19th at 8 o'clock, Me and White Supremacy Discussion Group. Using the framework of the book Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad, we will explore how white supremacist thinking has influenced our culture and ourselves, often without realizing it. Tomorrow morning, there will be Torah study at 9 o'clock, led by Larry Cohn. That'll be on Zoom. Sunday morning at 10 a.m., we have our Tu B'Shvat Seder, also on Zoom. Renewal, growth, and hope for the new year of the trees. And at 10:45, we have a mini Seder for our mini people. For our young family, Tu B'Shvat Seder will also take place on Zoom. Monday, January 17th, the temple office is closed in observance of Martin Luther King Day. Wednesday evening, we have, as you see listed in the program, we have a movie by the Kesher Committee. Please check that out. Next services, next Friday evening, will be Shabbat Midor Lador, our services, musical services for our whole temple family at 7:30 p.m. That will be live and on YouTube. And next Saturday, we have Torah study led by Nicole Jar, our Director of Lifelong Learning, at 9 o'clock in the morning. For details and registration for any of those programs, please go to tbemadison.org. Eternal God, the Israelites cried out to you, and you took notice. You revealed yourself to Moses first through a burning bush, and there you revealed your compassionate awareness. And so help us to see, to hear, and to know the injustices that keep us from redemption. And so, like Moses, who comes upon the burning bush, make it so that we cannot look away. Enable us to hear the voices of the oppressed. Grant us wisdom and compassion to bring freedom. Give us courage, energy, and humility to embrace all those whom we too easily label as other. Indeed, let us transform other into one another and bring justice and healing to our world through the sound of our voices and the works of our hands.
We'll be closing here in just a moment in our supplement on page 6, but I just wanted to call folks at page 8 in our supplement. But before that, I just want to call your attention to one thing. If you were noticing perhaps in our yard site list, you noticed maybe the name Debbie Friedman. I want to actually say that, yes, it's that Debbie Friedman, whose yard site we honor this Shabbat, that lines up with another wonderful coincidence in our calendar, which is that this is also, in addition to being Shabbat Tzedek, is Shabbat Shirah, the Shabbat where we read from Parashat Bishalach that includes the Song of the Sea. So Jews all over the world, this Shabbat will be chanting from and studying from the portion that includes that Song of the Sea. I imagine that Larry Cohn will have some wonderful insights perhaps on that tomorrow morning, who knows? And so it's been such a pleasure to be able to share the Bima with some members from our choir this evening and with Ted Reinke, of course, who have, elevated my own worship, and I hope for all of us as well.
Amen.
And so as we come to a close, we all have our own voices that we bring both to the worship in this space and also, as we were saying before, to the work that we hope to carry from our hearts out into the world. And so we'll close with this song from Alana Arian, I Have a Voice. I want to just have you all repeat after me for a moment so that we can get the chorus, really, so we can really join together. Oh, and I'm in the wrong key. Can everyone just say after me, I have a voice.
I have a voice.
My voice is powerful.
My voice is powerful.
My voice can change the world. Oh, well, I'm in the wrong key, friends. Let's actually do it in the right key. Thank you. My voice, let's do that. I have a voice.
I have a voice.
My voice is powerful.
My voice is powerful.
My voice can change the world.
My voice can change the world.
I have a voice.
I have a voice.
My voice is powerful.
My voice is powerful.
My voice can change the world.
My voice can change the world.
Change the world.
Change the world.
Ready. I will open my eyes.
I will open my eyes.
I will not look away.
I will not look away.
I will use this gift I've been given every day. I have a voice.
My voice is powerful.
My voice can change the world. I have a voice.
My voice is powerful.
My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will give of myself.
I will give of myself.
I will reach out my hand.
I will reach out my hand.
I will use this heart I've been given to take a stand. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'asanu B'Tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'asanu B'Tselem Elohim. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will fight for the truth.
I will fight for the truth.
I'll stand up for what's right.
I'll stand up for what's right.
I will use this strength I've been given to be alive. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world.
Shabbat Shalom all.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
friends.
Shabbat Shalom. Nicely done.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
We have a voice, our voice is powerful.
Very much. I want to just tell you, like, I mean, having you all closer to me, I
Yeah.
was really able to